The ongoing discussion between social media and the First Amendment gearing up yet again. This time it's related to warning labels on social media platforms.
On Monday, a Colorado attorney appealed an order that blocked a mandate of putting cigarette-style warning labels on social media sites. A U.S. District Court judge ruled against the warning label requirement, saying that it likely violates the First Amendment, adding it's substantially likely that the tech group NetChoice, which sued over the law, will prevail with its claims that the statute is unconstitutional.
All right, we want to bring back in our chief legal analyst, Khalif Rhodes. Khalif, this debate, as we just talked about, isn't about whether or not it's harmful for teens, but the question of the First Amendment, they're saying that it would compel them to spread the message that social media is harmful, which would be a violation. Can you break this down for us?
It was a couple of things. I mean, that is at the root of the argument, is whether or not it is harmful, when the fact that you're forcing or compelling a company to agree with that statement and to make that statement. So let's talk about what Colorado wanted folks to do. They provided that minors, after being on a social media device for more than 1 hour, every 30 minutes, a pop-up would pop up and say, hey, this is damaging to you, this is harmful for you, just to remind you of the harms and the dangers that it could provide. This was a law that was implemented in the state of Colorado, and the Attorney General brought claim. And so I first talk about that compelled speech doctrine. The government can't force a private company to agree with, endorse, or carry the government's ideological message. That's long been held. So that portion of it isn't anything new. And so what the state of Colorado was saying, I should say, because you got the state on both sides, but what the legislators are saying, that we're not asking you to endorse some ideology. It's uncontroverted. It's purely factual what we're saying. And so that was the crux. The judge didn't agree with that, and that's what the judge's own language. The court appreciates Colorado's legitimate efforts. I would underline legitimate. Why? Because I talk about speech a number of times and how the government can chill your speech. There has to be a compelling public interest. That's strict scrutiny. When the judge says legitimate, that's a lower standard. So he agreed that there is a legitimate interest, there's a legitimate purpose, but not a compelling public interest. And because there's no compelling public interest that they can point to, that's why he would say that this would be something that's unconstitutional. And then talking about that they're likely to succeed on the merits, you guys know that's the injunctive standard, that I'm going to issue this injunction because you're likely to succeed later down the road.
My smartwatch tells me every hour if I have been lazy and sitting around. I mean, I'm being a little dramatic here. It basically says, stop being lazy, get up, walk around, you need to do something. So what's wrong with social media doing something similar that says, hey, you've been spending an hour and a half on social media doom scrolling or whatever. We had this conversation yesterday. As adults, we'll binge watch a movie for 3 hours because it automatically keeps sending you information. What's wrong with this, and why can't other states say, we're not asking you to ban it like Australia, we're just saying, give us reminders that it could be harmful?
Key words, and I like that. I don't think anything's wrong with that approach, and as a parent, I want more pop-ups, and not every 30 minutes, maybe every 15 minutes. But so it's nothing wrong with it. It's where it gets muddy in the water is that they're not asking, they're compelling. They're not saying, hey, we recommend that you do this in the state of Colorado. What Colorado is saying, if you want to participate in our state, if you want to, not have to cut down and stop operations, you have to. That's mandatory. It's a must. So it goes from a may or a should to a must, which is entirely different. Now, if you're forcing me to do it, hey, that's not optional anymore. And so because it's not optional, you're requiring that my speech shift and is content specific, that you don't want me to just talk about something. You're saying specifically say these things. That's clearly First Amendment on its face.
Is there anything that researchers or doctors could say that would provide something similar to, like cigarettes, right? The Surgeon General putting those labels. Is there any sort of thing that could make social media companies have to do that? Is there evidence that could back that up?
I'd 100% say that's the route it would have to go, and it would probably take years to get there. I think social media is still too new. There's not enough scientific data to support the arguments that Colorado was attempting to make, and because of that, it's just timing. I've said this a number of times here in the past, that great cases are made debate with great facts, great timing, and a great judge that wants to hear it. In this scenario, they don't have great facts. You don't have the statistical support, a history of studies and tests to show that. Now, I think years later, we'll recognize the negative effects that are there, just like we did with cancer. That's why those labels are there. But it just took a while, and it's going to take a while. Similar to seatbelts. A number of folks were flying through windows, and then you were like, hey, maybe we should put those in there because it's something that's required. You need the studies to support it because on the other side, the company's saying there's a cost, there's a burden for us to carry this, and you're requiring us to do that. If there's no study behind it, I'd rather pay a lawyer to shut it down than to comply with what you're saying. Back to your question, Jason, California was successful in doing this. Again, right timing. You have an attorney general that is supportive of it as opposed to someone that's saying, I'm going to fight this. And that's what you had in Colorado. Passed by the General Assembly, shot down by the attorney general. California passed and accepted. So state by state, similar to what we've had with a number of key issues over the last couple of years.
Again, our chief legal analyst, Khalif Rhodes, breaking that down for us. Khalif, thank you.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.